Visualize these old aristocrats sitting there contemplating the toss of a coin to decide the future of English horse racing and global horse racing, and eventually coming up with something that inadvertently became the greatest flat race on the planet. And similarly, the attitude of the three founding members of Investec Bank, what they intended to set out and achieve, all these years later, 2017, we still have a bank that is completely and utterly out of the ordinary.
Andrew, I think the analogy with the fact that we pay enormous respect to history, and I think it's part of that golden thread that Investec has carried right from both a Stephen Kossef and a Bernard Cantor into where we find ourselves in 2017, which is founders currently still in the Investec business, operating every single day as real operators, not just really popping in where it suits. But I think the importance of that is that there's a golden thread in retaining that history and that complete privilege with being associated with something that was so small back in the days of Fox Street. I think there were 4 chairs, 5 members of staff, to today in 2017 where we sit in Sandton.
Well, the irony really is that we've just walked past a floor of desks and chairs sitting encapsulated in plastic, awaiting the arrival of some young aspirant graduates that are going to take this Investec roller coaster ride forward.
It is an incredible space, and I think that's part of the attitude that is Investec, it's part of the energy. Very, very ambitious for what we can achieve, what we should be achieving in the current market and space, and I think just enormously excited at what the possibilities and opportunities are in what is a challenging environment, certainly in South Africa and globally, but certainly, yes, lots of growth and lots of youngsters now building.
Well, let's go back a step, because in order to promote sport and to embark on sponsorship programs, you have to be successful. You have to have the cash to do it, to buy that airtime, to buy that space. And although cricket and hockey and all of the other sports that Investec have found themselves involved in from a commercial perspective, horse racing is the burning passion within Bernard Cantor, and it has become the most viewed day on screens of Great Britain and the world, for that matter, for a horse race.
I think it's our grandest, and it's kind of it's our most statuesque sponsorship in terms of what we look at a global level. Certainly, I know the crescendo that first weekend in June reaches in terms of the excitement, not just from the Epsom community, but in terms of the sponsorship itself. I mean, really, really critical. I think sponsorship for any sponsor, there's absolutely an awareness piece, but there has got to be a bond piece. We talk about one of our strongest currencies being a partnership piece. And we've always operated in this way, and I think that the passion and the love that you're seeing in a Bernard and in many, many areas of our business, and certainly within our client base as well, comes through in terms of how we actually partner and how we engage in such an important and relevant sponsorship, particularly in the UK.
I'm confronted here by absolutely unassailable logic. You are a businesswoman. You didn't come to Investec and get a job because you can act, but I can see that fire in your eyes is something that you come to work for every single day and sincerely believe in.
There's a special magic at Investec, and there's a chemistry piece which is I really believe it's about the people, it's about the gravitas that I think comes with the business, the professionalism and the expertise, and it's really a feeling. We talk about often the piece that I think we forget so much in culture is it's a feeling. You know it when you see it, you can feel the engagement, and I think you can feel it from coming through our turnstiles today. There's an energy that you don't find everywhere. It's a very special ingredient to an Investec.
You've spent a lot of money in Great Britain finding the right places to promote the band, and one of them just happens to have been Andrew Balding's yard, where the history of the Investec Derby is very deeply seated, with Mill Reef having won that derby for Andrew Balding's father. And the amazing thing about it is that every single self-respecting trainer, and even more so Claire Balding, who is from the same family, will tell you that it's almost impossible that anybody in their right mind would create a racecourse such as Epsom to hold the most arduous test, and yet it is that very entity that has made it stand the test of time.
I think it's the boldness of that kind of challenge to create something that perhaps is completely unexpected. But I think there's grit in that. There's true determination and grit, which we see in the jockeys, the owners, the infrastructure, all of the various different stakeholders in this world.
Well, the most amazing thing for me is that one of your great ambassadors is Frankie Dettori, and you utilized him to great effect last year. Cameron van der Berg is another classic exponent of a man who is absolutely perfect for the job. But horse racing commercials are few and far between, and there are very few that are as catching as the Investec commercial, with the horse growing up and becoming a great champion, as it's so beautifully portrayed. Now, what gave rise to that commercial?
Andrew, that particular commercial is a very heartfelt commercial. It actually was something driven by a gentleman by the name of Paul, who actually is our creative director based in the UK. And it really was around birth, growth, and ultimately achieving success. And I think we've always said we don't back the winner. We back that ability to actually strive for doing better and benchmarking against the best. So I think very much there's a heartfelt love, not only of horses and the horse industry, but I think the reality of that idea of growth and exponential growth in terms of what you can achieve was actually at the root of that particular piece of work.
And it looks so simple, but when you go behind the scenes and you see the amount of planning that went into that shoot with the gyrocopters and the tracking vehicles and the planning of the distances that the horses had to run, it's just like a military operation, I have to say.
Well, we like to think we certainly are anti-military almost, and that we work in quite an agile environment, and I think our environment allows us a little bit of that. But we've always said, I mean, one of the key elements to both branding, and particularly the Investec brand, is to always pay attention to detail in everything we do, whether it's a phone call you make, whether it's an advert you're creating, or whether it is work that you're doing with a partner. What does that look like? The attention to detail is everything.
Derby, to me, it's a unique experience.
I think watching it on TV, you get a snippet of it, but you have to come down and really experience it yourself.
Special, different, honoured, exhilarating.